Mataji for joining mid-morning call. Please do join us every single day and very beautiful chanting. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji, then will pronounce to you and all assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Uma from Portland, Oregon.
Hare Krishna, Uma Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving your recitation and a very beautiful chanting of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, Mataji, and all glories to your wonderful services to the group. Welcome to the call. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Preeti Vilasini Devidasi from Atlanta. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
for your warm welcoming, and also thank you, Mataji, for that beautiful chanting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji, Danat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining, and thank you, Mataji, for your wonderful services. Welcome to the call. Hari Bol. It's 10 o'clock. We'll start the recording here. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sanga conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Rāmagiridhāri Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat Madhya khanda, chapter number 9, 209 to 218 verses. Before I hand over the call to Prabhuji, I would like to read the quote for today. Today is April 2nd. Our only request is that if you want happiness, if you want to prosper, make your life successful, you must read Bhagavad Gita thoroughly as it is, as Krishna says. Do not try to misinterpret. Bombay, April 2nd, 1974. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. I don't see Prabhuji on the call. I will pause the recording here and we can wait for Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Ram get that Prabhuji is here. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this mid-morning and enlightening us on the topic of Chaitanya Bhagavat. I now hand over the call to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai. Thai Gaurav Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Just once again. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are discussing from Chaitanya Bhagavata Madhya Khanda chapter 9. Today we will discuss from text number 209 or 208 through 218. 209 to 218. Let's read the shlokas and then get going with our churning the nectar. The context is, now the conversation is happening between Kolavecha Sridhara and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after Mahaprabhu revealed his transcendental, glorious form, Sridhara almost fainted. So then the Lord is picking him up and asking him to recite some prayers. As usual, as a humble devotee, Sridhara said that, how I will be able to offer any prayers. Then Mahaprabhu is saying that just your words are good enough to be your prayers. And we are continuing. Yesterday you would have discussed till 208, which are all Sridhara's natural outflow of his feelings and emotions towards Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Today we will continue the discussion. Tabu mora papa chitte nahila smarana naja nila muitora amulya charana. Yet neither did my sinful heart recognize you, nor did I understand the glories of your invaluable lotus feet. Ye tumi karila danya gokula nagaram ekhane haila navadvipa purandaram. It was you who made the town of Gokula glorious, and now you have appeared as the king of Navadvipa. Text 211. Rakiya vedao bhakti sharira bitare ena bhakti navadvipe haila bahire. You conceal devotional service within your body, but you have manifested the devotional service in Navadvipa. Text 212. Bhakti yoge bhishma toma jinila samare Bhakti yoge yashodhaya bhandila tomare. It was through devotional service that Bhishma conquered you on the battlefield, and it was through devotional service that Yashoda bound you. Text 213. Bhakti yoga tomare ve chila satya bhama bhakti vashe tumi kande kaila goparama. It was through devotional service that Satyabhama sold you. Being controlled by devotional service, you carried the cowherd damsel of Vraja on your shoulders. Ananta Brahmanda Koti Vahe Yare Mane Sehi Tumi Sridama Gopa Vahila Pane. You who are carried in the minds of the inhabitants of innumerable universes, personally carried the cowherd boy Sridama. Text 215. Yaha haite apanara parabhava hayam sehi bada gopya loke kahare nakayam. You are conquered by devotional service. Therefore, it is most confidential. Ordinary people do not understand this. Text 216. Bhakti lagi sarvastane prabhava panjiniyam veda otumi bhakti lokayam. You are always conquered by devotional service. Therefore, you hid devotional service and wander around like a conqueror. Semaya haila churna arana hi lage hera deka sakala bhuvane bhakti mage. This characteristics of yours is now shattered and inactive. Just to see, the entire world hankers for your devotional service. Se kale harila jhana duhi chari sthane ekale bhandiha toma sarva jane jane. At that time, you were defeated by only 2 or 4 persons. Now, you will be bound by one and all. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurun Militam Yenam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namahom Vishnu Padayam Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedantam Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanandam Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The verses that we saw today, they were all spoken by Sridhara as a prayer to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is a very wonderful context of conversation between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sridhara. Based on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, Sridhara is offering his prayers, expressing his love. The exchange between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Kolavecha Sridhara is an example of what it means to be an absolute loving relationship between the Lord and his dearest devotees, where there is no tinge of materialism, no tinge of personal aspirations, and no tinge of any vested agenda in the conversation. In fact, on the side of Sridhara, he was even denying, he was even taking a humbler position and thinking that he is not qualified to be the recipient of Mahaprabhu's love. He says, I am just an insignificant soul. And in return, Mahaprabhu acknowledged his love, gave him all the credits glorious, and now he is making him much, much more glorious. As usual, we will churn this context through some sets of reflections and try to learn some lessons for ourselves. The first reflection is about the glorification that is generally towards the Supreme Lord. Entire Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya Charitamrita, or any specific Vedic texts, there are various methodology, there are various ways by which the Lord is glorified. One should know that the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam is to establish Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam is to eliminate Shoka, Moha, Bhaya from our lives. So, when Srimad Bhagavatam or Caitanya Bhagavata or Caitanya Charitamrita, when they are glorifying the Supreme Lord, they take different flavors of glorifying the Supreme Lord. You will see entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes the Lord is glorified through his opulences. Bhagavatam or literature glorifies the Lord through various opulences, his manifestations, his creations. The Lord has got unlimited opulences. Just by glorifying the Lord's opulences, the Lord is glorified. Sometimes the Lord is glorified by his personal beauty. So the Lord's beauty, his appearance. Sundara kundala naina vishala gale sohe janti mala. Beauty. The Lord's personal beauty, through which acharyas, different personalities glorify the Supreme Lord. Sometimes the Lord is glorified through the process in which we can achieve the Lord, by the way of glorifying devotional service. One of the processes, Bhakti, as one of the processes, the Lord is glorified. Just by glorifying the process, the Lord is glorified. Sometimes the Lord is glorified through his devotees. Like in this case, Kolavita Sridhara, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, etc. So many devotees, just their activities, their lifestyle, through their behavior, through their conduct, through their personalities, the Lord is glorified. Sometimes the Lord is glorified based on his pastimes, as different incarnations to come and perform different set of activities. Whilst he performing one set of activities, he accomplishes several other agendas underneath. And sometimes the Lord is glorified through complaints, like gopis, like Bilvamangala Thakura in Chaurashtakam. where in the form of accusing the Lord, in the form of complaints, in the form of saying that how the Lord has not attended, looked after, taken care of certain things, by just accusing him, by actually demeaning him, they are actually glorifying. Sometimes the Lord is glorified through explaining the glories of the Lord's enemies, the prowess of the Lord's enemies, how powerful the Lord's enemies are, and they will, the Bhagavatam or Shastras describe how powerful the Lord's enemies are and how the enemies were killed by the Lord. In 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, there are at least several such examples of Krishna when killing any demon. Aghasura's glories, or his appearance, his form, shape, is in itself 7, 8, 10 shlokas. One time I was in Houston, and I was to give a Bhagavatam class, and they gave 2, 3 verses. The verses were only describing about Aghasura's gory form, very gigantic form, and things that I wasn't sure what am I supposed to do. You cannot just glorify Aghasura. But then the way Sukadeva Goswami was explaining to Parikshit Maharaj, was explaining how gory, how gigantic Aghasura was, and how that Aghasura was killed by Krishna. As I mentioned a pastime long time back, Ravana wanted to take help for preparing for the war with Lord Ram. So out of restlessness, he reached to Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj welcomed Ravana and said, hey, my dear Ravana, if you have come here, you definitely would have had some agenda or something you wanted from me. What is that? Tell me. Ravana cannot, say he is afraid. He is, preparing for the fight with Lord Ram. He want to, acquire more money, more team, more weapons, whatever. So he didn't want to say that. So he said, no, I just came to see you. But Bali Maharaj understood why Ravana came. He said, okay, welcome. Since you have come after a long time, I want to give you a gift. So Bali Maharaj took him to the backside of the palace and showed him a golden mountain. So Bali Maharaj pointed to that mountain. You see that mountain? It's a huge mountain. So that mountain is fully made of gold. You take that mountain, I am giving it as a gift to you. So Ravana was super happy because his he thought that when war means a lot of money, so the huge golden mountain is available. So then I have resources. So when Ravana was going to try to lift that mountain, he couldn't even move it as an inch. And finally, Ravana said, okay, I'll send my team and pick it up. Bali Maharaj said, that's all right. Do you know what that mountain is? So Ravana said, I don't know. Said in the previous Yuga, once there was a fight between Hiranyakashipu and Nrsimhadev. During that fight, one of the earrings of Hiranyakashipu fell down. This mountain is his earring. So, Ravana, for a moment, he got really confused. He said, if the earring of a person is such a huge mountain, how big his ear had been? It would have been, and how tall that person would be. And Bali Maharaj further stated that Hiranyakashipu was crushed like a wasp by Nrsimhadev. So Ravana got completely. So just to describe how glorious Nrsimhadev is and how gigantic Nrsimhadev looked. So Shastras take another route. So sometimes just by describing about enemies, the Lord is glorified. Sometimes the Lord is glorified just by mantras. So here, by the way of expressing simple words. So if you see the entire glorification of Sridhara, entire prayer, he had components of all of what I said, or at least most of what I said. He appreciated Lord's opulence. He appreciated Lord's accomplishments. He appreciated Lord's beauty. He appreciated how the Lord's devotional processes or how special they are. He also appreciated how the Lord is controlled by that, love, that devotion. And he also appreciated how the devotional service which the Lord has, he kind of mocked, he kind of, teased the Lord, saying that the devotional service that you are keeping it secret, now that by your glories, by Caitanya Mahaprabhu, by your mercy, that devotional service is public. So it's so amazing that the glories of the Supreme Lord are the only agenda of Vaishnavas. Matchitta Madhyada Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nityam Dushyanti cha Ramanti cha. Their thought process is the Lord, why he is so captivated, why he is ruled, why he is controlling. In one of the verses is mentioned that Sridhara is mentioning how the Lord carried Vrindavan Vasis on his shoulder. There was a game that they played, boys. Whoever loses the game should carry the other person. And Krishna lost in one of the games. So he carried Sridama, he carried Bhadrasena, he carried some people all around Vrindavan. So the Lord is losing himself, quote unquote. He wants to, make sure that his devotees win. So that loving exchanges, that remembrance, that thought process, that, emotion is the topmost aspect of our devotional service. All other things in front of such feelings becomes completely useless. The person, when he is operating on that zone, when we are able to, relate to that emotions, then all our so-called transactional desires, transactional quest to the Lord, please give me that, please give me this, looks very cheap. I mean, even ourselves, we will say, oh, did I ask all those things to the Lord at some point in time? So my first reflection is that in our lives, some way, in some form, in some shape, in some strategy, we need to learn to be constantly glorifying the Supreme Lord. 7th canto, 1st chapter, text number 27. This is the Prahlad Maharaj episode, first chapter of that series. Narada Muni is saying, even devotional service also cannot accomplish something which the demons are able to do by remembering the Lord all the time. It's a very interesting comparison Narada Muni is saying. He says that as a demon, when a demon, by devotional service, one cannot achieve such intense absorption in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one can through enmity toward him. That is my opinion. Prabhupada gives a superb purport. Prabhupada says the intent of Narada Muni saying this is, he is trying to encourage, he is trying to highlight, he is trying to motivate us that how can we always be remembering, glorifying about the Supreme Lord. That's a very nice abhang by Tukaram Maharaj. I have, one of the earlier sessions, I've shared that abhang. I may not pronounce it correctly in terms of a Marathi text, but it's a wonderful abhang. Tukaram Maharaj is saying, Anika dusare majana hiyatam nemeleya chitam Vasuniyam Panduranga Dhyanim Pandurangamanim Jakritim Swapnim Pandurangam Patilem Valanam Indriyam Sakalam Bhavato nirala nahi tuja dukamane netrim Elikolaganam katastate dhyanam vitevari. So he's saying, in my personal life, Tukaram Maharaj is saying, I will orient, prepare, organize my life in such a way that I will always think and glorify about the Supreme Personality of God, Vittala Panduranga. Jakritim Swapnim Panduranga. Anika Dusare Madanam Himatam Nemelaya Chitta. Let Panduranga's thoughts, his actions, his pastimes, his glories may it be imbibed or integrated with my chitta, with my consciousness, with my personality. Patile Balana Indriyam Sakala. Let my senses always dwell, serve, participate, glorify the Supreme Lord. So my first reflection is about how Sridhara, in his prayers, he did not come. He made the prayer so, I would say, simple. As Narada Muni accused Vyasadeva in the first canto of Bhagavatam, saying that these Vedas are indirectly, talking about the Supreme Lord. You please do something so that you can directly glorify the Supreme Lord. You will see that beauty in Kolavita Sridhara's offering. You will see that beauty in, the offerings of Vaishnava Acharyas in their bhajans. Because they know by giving some complicated, things, we will not be able to follow or get attracted. So they peel off all the frill elements and they just give that nectar. So my first reflection is that in some way, in some form, we should be able to glorify the Supreme Lord and dwell constantly in his, thoughts. That is the whole purpose of the Lord, asking Sridhara to glorify. Srila Prabhupada writes a superlative purport to Nectar of Instruction, verse number 8. Again, this one we have done, in the past also. We have read this portion, where Srila Prabhupada is quoting Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who in turn actually refers from Bhakti Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami, where Jiva Goswami explains about 5 stages of Krishna Smarana. Smaranam, Dharanam, Dhyanam, Dhruvanusmriti, Samadhi. And how these 5 stages are achieved is very nicely explained. So I will just read that from Nectar of Instruction, verse number 8. So this is from the last but one and one paragraph above that. So 2 paragraphs. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented as follows upon this verse. Quote, one who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, quality, pastimes, and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, one should try to live in Vrindavana and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding the cultivation of devotional service. Further, Prabhupada writes, quote, in the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Dasha, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varana Dasha. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to the hearing of Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smarana Avastha, the stage of remembering. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana. This is what I mentioned. Recollection means Smaranam, absorption means Dharanam, meditation means Dhyanam, constant remembrance means Dhruvanusmriti, and trance means Samadhi. Further, at first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later, remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called Anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing Anusmriti, one enters the stage of Samadhi or spiritual trance. After Smarana Dasha or Samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. That is called Sampatti Dasha, the perfection of life. So the point I want to drive home as the first reflection is that somehow or other, we need to make sure that our life is centered around the constant thoughts and activities of the Supreme Lord, so that we are able to slowly elevate ourselves and eventually reach the perfection of life, which is to be the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord back home, back to God. So Sridhara, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him to glorify, Sridhara very nicely, very subtly touched these points about his opulence, the Lord's pastimes, the Lord's unique, wonderful incarnation in Navadvip Dham, how he is non-different from Yashoda Nandan, who is currently right now as Sachi Nandan, and how the process of devotional service is the way. So he touched upon his opulence, he touched upon his beauty, he touched upon the process, he touched upon his devotees' glories. He also, mocked him or teased him to say that, his devotional service, which he kept secretly before, is now open out in public. He glorified about so many things. And this is the art of Vaishnava, because his heart is filled with love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, love for his dearest devotees. So my first reflection is, in our lives, somewhere or other, we need to strategize our life in such a way that we somehow or other are able to glorify Krishna. Either you organize a festival, or you give a class, or you sing a song, or you read a book, or you take darshan, or you preach to someone. Our tongue and senses needs to be constantly groomed and trained in such a way that we are able to glorify the Supreme Lord. Constantly glorify the Supreme Lord. So I was taking a course here in Navi Mumbai ISKCON temple locally. So we were discussing on how Harinama can as well help us in that process. So apart from our designated quota of chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we can practice as a routine, as a monotonous activity to begin with, to just chant the holy name. I'm not sure if you have noticed this. Some very serious practitioners with some very serious devotees, they will constantly, their tongue will be constantly chanting the name of God. They will be murmuring, they will be keep on reciting the Mahamantra or the glories of the Lord, that they will not let even one moment go without glorifying. So we all, as a students and as a teacher and students, we were all taking a trial, that can we also do it, not to imitate anyone, but to just inculcate it into our culture. Because otherwise we finish our 16 rounds and keep it aside, or 32 rounds, 25 rounds, whatever commitments are, and we think that is the end of the sadhana cycle for that day. But if we have to constantly remember the Lord, you have to constantly glorify the Lord, if you have to become beloved to the Lord, because somehow or other, the bottom line is, we need to switch ourselves from transactional mode to relationship mode, from relationship mode to completely dependent and integrated mode. Because transactional mode of the Lord means I use the Lord for my needs. At least you have come to that stage that for anything and everything we'll go to Krishna. Prior to our association with ISKCON devotees and Srila Prabhupada's purport, we had a different agenda. We go to Ganesh, we go to Shiva, we go to Mata, we go to Jesus, we go to so many people. But at least now one development is, at least for anything and everything we go to Krishna, which is good. But that is a transactional level. We do Krishna, Krishna, please somehow get my daughter married, get my son married, get my son get job, get my health sorted out. Something or other we keep asking. Transactionally, in a larger sense, it is for our benefit. So if you have to shift from there to here, you have to get into the relationship with Krishna. What is the relationship with Krishna? I think for Krishna. I think about Krishna. I think towards Krishna rather than towards me. And how that is possible, but what Sridhara is doing. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appreciation towards Sridhara is also that you have been completely selfless. You never had a self-centered thinking. So I am moved. I am ready to give anything that you ask for. So that relationship needs to be built. And how do we train ourselves? By hearing Vaishnavacharya's Jivan Charitra, by hearing about Krishna's pastimes, by hearing about all these wonderful narrations and descriptions, and somehow train ourselves. So one of the ways is just train our tongue to constantly chant the holy name of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. It is difficult. Last 1 month I've been so sometimes you forget. So, but what we have told all of us, what we have made a sankalpa is, whenever we remember from that point on, we'll keep chanting till other distractions come in. So we keep training. One day, hopefully, our entire day is entire internal system is on vibrating about the holy name of the Lord. So the agenda here is, can we switch ourselves from transactional mode with Krishna to relationship mode with Krishna? Then this relationship mode with Krishna will eventually evolve to an integrated meaning our existence will be based on Krishna. Today our existence is, we are receiving Krishna's mercy and he is looking after us. But we are also looking after our own personal needs, personal agenda and our materialistic needs. But when we move from this stage of relationship, we can go to a higher stage of being completely uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, which is a stage of samadhi, completely involved and a complete stage of perfection. That is the direction which we should move. So my first reflection hence is that can we somehow, taking a cue from these wonderful pastimes, try to elevate ourselves to that zone. Second reflection is about a very interesting aspect which the Lord always does, which is that if you get into the Lord's relationship, if you evolve, elevate yourself from a transactional zone to a relationship zone, start thinking about the Lord, thinking for the Lord, glorifying the Lord. What does the Lord do? He gets choked up, he gets emotional. I will take you all to 10th canto, 32nd chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam. 10th canto, 31st chapter is Gopi Gita. All the gopis are, feeling separation. 32nd chapter is reunion. The Lord is coming back, looking at the way the gopis are longing for Krishna. The Lord really got moved. He's talking so many things. I just want to read only one verse to establish my second reflection. This is 10th canto, 32nd chapter, text number 22. Naparayeham niravatya samyujam Swasadu Krityam Vibhudat Yusapiva Yama Bhajan Durajara Ge Shrinkala Samvristya Tadva Pratiyatu Sadhunam. This verse is spoken by Krishna. Translation. I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service, even within a lifetime of Brahma. Your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. The point I want to highlight as a second reflection is, if we are into a relationship with Krishna, when I say relationship with Krishna, which means think beyond me, think beyond us, think for Krishna, think around Krishna, think towards Krishna. When we get into that zone, then the Lord is really, really elated. Look at this verse. He's saying, I do not know how I'm going to repay for the love that you guys have shown. Not today, not tomorrow, even within a lifetime of Brahma. And he is acknowledging, so he's doing four things here. He is first expressing that the love that the devotees, pure devotees, show towards him is immeasurable, even in his quota, even in his units. The Lord has his own measuring scale or whatever scale. Even in his scale, that doesn't fit. So that much is. So he is acknowledging the devotional service. Number two, he is acknowledging that this service or this relationship is established in spite of all the challenges that has come in the way. So it is not that you all had a free royal ride. You all had challenges, but still. And number three, he is saying that this whole act of you showing me love is something that not anyone can achieve. It's something very unique. It is very, very special. And the last part is something amazing. He says, if any fee has to be associated with that, the fee is only your own glories. Let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. Prabhupada gives a superb purport. Of course, this purport is given by Prabhupada's disciples, but they have picked up the purport from Srila Prabhupada's Caitanya Charitamrita. Says, the gopis became eternally glorious by their behavior in the Lord's temporary absence and the mutual love between them, and the Lord was wonderfully enhanced. So Prabhupada is saying that when challenges came, how the devotees responded. During that challenge, how they stayed together and had love between them, and how eventually this act enhanced their love much, much more than what they had before. This is the perfection of Krishna and his loving devotees. So my second reflection is, Sridhara, currently what he is going through is nothing but the Lord's payback time. He is making the Supreme Lord is making all the whole world know how glorious my devotee is. He just gave bananas. He just gave some simple, humble services. Of course, with so much of love. And this is Lord's payback time. So technically speaking, we are puppets in Krishna's hands. He is just a puppeteer and we are just puppets in his hands. But he's just not letting us remain as a puppet. When we develop our love for him, he's giving credit also to us. So he is making us do, with his help we do, and he is also giving the credit to us. So all the glories, all the wonderful accolades that as devotees we get comes from Krishna as Krishna's payback, because he's moved. You did something for me, and this is how I can pay, otherwise I cannot pay. So my second reflection is that it is so wonderful of the Lord to reciprocate. So how we should also reciprocate to the Lord and his dearest devotees. So as a second reflection, I want to state that Kolavich Sridhara, what he is experiencing right now, or what the Lord is making him do, because this is not only candidate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made Ramananda Rai speak. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made Haridas Thakur speak, Rupa Goswami speak, Sanatana Goswami speak, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya speak. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hardly, wrote any scripture apart from Siksashtaka, but he made sure each and every one of his devotees' glorious deeds. Ebe Jasha Gushuk Tribhuvana. Let all the three worlds know your glories. And the glories that the three worlds are knowing, it is Lord's acknowledgement. It is Lord's payback. It is Lord's reciprocation. So the Lord is equally invested in this relationship. Please have him in your relationship. Don't just use him. If you have him in his relationship, it is so glorious, so wonderful. That's what the point is. Even the temporary absence, Prabhupada writes, the temporary absence means challenge. In the case of gopis, there was a temporary absence. In our life, there are challenges. Health challenges, wealth challenges, social challenges, family challenges, emotional challenges, several challenges. How are we responding? Are we seeing lessons for us to learn, or are we looking at people to blame? Prabhupada says, the reason these gopis were glorious is when the challenges hounded them, even when they expressed their concerns, accusations, complaints towards the Supreme Lord, they had to only glorify him. Prajay prasiddham navanita choram gopangananamscha dukula choram. Villamangala Thakur says, you are a thief. You have stolen all our, sinful activities. Just because he surrendered unto you, you stole away. You are a wonderful thief. So very wonderful way of reciprocation. And when these devotees, when they had used the challenges to become more dear to the Lord, more closer to the Lord, what they did, they had exchanged mutual love between them. So it is a very interesting lesson that in challenges amongst Vaishnavas or during devotional service, we have something to learn for us to be getting into this zone of becoming closer to Krishna. If we start blaming one another, not taking accountability, then Krishna will handle us later. But if we have loving exchanges between us, glorify the Lord between us, how the Lord has put us through these challenges, maybe for a reason. Of course, this whole Gopi Gita and the associated pastimes are very esoteric and lot of lessons. But I just want to draw a simple, connection to this place to say that Kolavich Sridhara offering prayers to the Supreme Lord is just not some sort of a formality. It is a loving relationship being very highly, wonderfully glorified, and the Lord is taking every possible endeavor to see to that Sridhara's glories be heard all over the universe. And as it is explained, that the words, the ability to speak is also coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As Dhruva Maharaj says, that I do not know how to speak, I don't know how I am speaking, but all these verses that I am describing is also because of your mercy. But still, entire credit is given to a Vaishnava. So all glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The last but not least, the third aspect and the very obvious aspect of this particular context is what Sridhara is mentioning. By devotional service, we can buy the Lord. Like Bhishma Pitamaha, like Yashoda Maiya, like Satyabhama, like Vrindavan Gopas. because the Lord can be easily purchased. You can purchase the Lord by devotional service. So can we somehow or other, try to enhance our lifestyle in such a manner that devotional service is the key. Devotional service is the focus. Devotional service is the agenda of our life rather than our agenda. Because many times it so happens that in our devotional journey, we somehow or other get carried away by our personal agenda and try to use devotional service as a flavor. But here the message here is when Shridhara is mentioning that in case of Bhishma Pitamaha, in case of Yashodamaya, in case of Satyabhama, in case of Sridhama, in case of all the Vrindavan Vasis, so these devotional services. So the seventh chapter, seventh canto purport that I mentioned, that purport Prabhupada very nicely explains a very nice point. He says the essential point in this connection is that one should be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna 24 hours a day. There are many devotees in Raga Marga which is exhibited in Vrindavan. Whether in Dasya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa or Madhurya Rasa, all the devotees of Krishna are always overwhelmed by thoughts of Krishna. When Krishna is away from Vrindavan tending the cows in the forest, the gopis in the Madhurya Rasa are always absorbed in thoughts of how Krishna walks in the forest. So on and so forth. Prabhupada is explaining, and finally he says, especially for the conditioned soul, Narada Muni recommends that one somehow or other be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, for that will save one from all dangers of material existence. Full absorption in thought of Krishna is the highest platform of Bhakti Yoga. So the third reflection is that the aspect of devotional service in some form, some shape, in some way or the other, if one gets associated, one gets engaged, one gets glued to devotional service. And in our case, Srila Prabhupada has given plenty of opportunity by which we can be devotionally surcharging ourselves and be still part of this entire missionary activities. So, Stane Stita Stutigatan Tanuman Manobi. By just being wherever you are, whichever family circumstances you may be, you can still perform devotional service. And this devotional service is just not some superficial thing. It is actually a lifestyle. So technically speaking, all the three reflections are around one single thread, but I split them into three different reflections just to highlight the importance of that. A single thread is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, and how we are able to be absorbed in his transcendental thoughts and pastimes, which will sustain our devotional life, and which we split into three parts. One way saying that how glorification is done. Number two, how the Supreme Lord in his reciprocation with his devotees, in his relationship with his devotees, he is trying to make the devotees' life glorious. He makes sure that the relationship with devotees are very highly projected, and devotees are glorified. And the third aspect is that for which our underlying thing is we should make devotional life as a lifestyle, as a way of life, rather than just a part of life. Krishna consciousness, if it is just a part of life, it is good. But if Krishna consciousness is a way of life, that is what is expected. That is what acharyas are doing. Can we somehow switch that from Krishna consciousness being part of our life to Krishna consciousness being way of life? It is easily said than done, but to do it, we need to go really, really deeper and deeper and deeper, not just in studies, but in action, but in Vaishnava relationship, by a way of participating in giving Krishna to others. So you learn knowledge, you understand knowledge, you assimilate knowledge, you apply knowledge, you distribute knowledge. So learn and understand or primary things. But from assimilating to preaching is a spiral. So all these 5 stages are a spiral. We learn, we understand, we assimilate, we apply, we preach. Learn, understand, assimilate, apply, preach. So this goes on and on and on and on. At the end of the day, we are moving from a zone of Krishna consciousness being part of our life to make it Krishna consciousness as a way of life, way of life, way of life. So which means our thinking, willing, feeling, dressing, job, marriage, house, place of location, everything, language, food habits, everything will get aligned. There will be a natural alignment because there is love, because there is a higher purpose associated with that. Caitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever he is doing in this 21 hours in Shiva Sangam, he is giving to all those who had taken Krishna consciousness as a way of life. So this is the Lord's reciprocation. This is the Lord's acknowledgement. This is the Lord's opportunity to project and show to the whole world, look at my team. This is the team who is going to come at your doors. These are all the people who are going to knock at your doors. If you say no to them, how unfortunate it will be. So look at these people, Sridhara, Advaita, Nityananda, Srivasa, Govinda, so many people, one, each and every one he is picking up and he's saying that now they are all going to become future preachers. So get up. And Srila Prabhupada did that. Srila Prabhupada also started his Sankirtan mission the way Caitanya Mahaprabhu started, in a very private way and very humble way, but eventually he gave a Hare Krishna explosion. We are all part of the recipient of the explosion, and I'm sure by continuously doing this association and reading and hearing, we will also somewhere or other create explosion in our own capacity. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. If there are any questions, comments, or reflections, I'll be happy to respond.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Danat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class. How you explained us that we should make Krishna consciousness as our life, but not this part of our life, and how the glorification of acharyas and glorification of Krishna makes us enthusiastic in this bhakti. That's really very nice, Prabhuji. And I was thinking about Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. When you read Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, you get love for Krishna and also love for Srila Prabhupada. The glories of the Lord and glories of devotees are always making us closer to Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class. Dear devotees, we'll open a forum for the question and answers. If anybody having any questions, realizations, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranams. Such a beautiful class as always, Prabhuji, with so many realizations and takeaway points always, Prabhuji. I was also thinking, like you said, how devotees don't fail to glorify the Lord, but the Lord also doesn't, give away the opportunity to glorify his devotees, right? I mean, in that sense, he takes every opportunity to glorify his favorite devotees, just like how he did, he summoned for Palavicha Sridhara and literally glorified him and wanted to bring out his glories. So a very, very beautiful class, Prabhuji, as always. And, time permitting, and if the organizers are okay, you can perhaps conclude with a bhajan later.
Sure.
Yes. Thank you. Koti Dandavat Pranam.
Glorification is our integral part of our survival. Actually, one of the reasons why this glorification has been the key factor in both from the Lord side and Vaishnava side is this: when you can glorify, there is absence of envy. When there is an absence of envy, we are getting really prepared to transport ourselves to the spiritual abode. Because lust, greed, anger, pride, ego, illusion, all of those things can be purified. Envy can't be purified. So if you are able to appreciate, glorify sustainedly, because sometimes we feel really exhausted. How will I glorify? What will I glorify? I do not have any content to glorify. Oh, I have already said this before, so it is boring. So there is no such feeling. The moment you are able to profusely, freely, constantly glorify the Lord, then that is a symptom of loss of envy in our heart. When there's a loss of envy, I guess we have a lot more hope. So let's keep on using this platform to genuinely glorify, not flatter anyone, but genuinely glorify Vaishnavas, and that way we will become lighter and lighter from our baggages. Looks like there are no further questions, so I'll pick up a song and sing, unless any change of mind and if any questions is there.
We have one question.
One question.
Yes, Sindhu Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, as usual, very wonderful class, very emotional. At certain point, it was very emotional when you were talking about the gopis and how they reciprocated. There was nothing else Krishna could offer to them, right? That was a very beautiful point that you brought up, right? I have no question, but I have one realization, and it may be that I'm the most fallen soul, but I'm openly talking about it. Initially, when I came to Krishna consciousness, right, I used to do all those acharans like the sadhans, whatever my Prabhu had instructed me to do. But somewhere the mind was so corrupted, it used to ask me that question, why I should do it? You know, that envy nature, it was so, it used to come suddenly out of nowhere, right? Why I have to do it used to come, but slowly it is changing, and I'm thankful for the mercy of all the Vaishnavas, Guru, Krishna, and especially Srila Prabhupada, right? Reading Srila Prabhupada's books, that nature is kind of going away, right? But it used to come, why I have to do, why should I do, so that envy nature, people talk about it, but people like me who are the most fallen souls experience it also, right? The mind brings it up and says, why I have to do it. So it is a very practical realization in my life that envy, and not only envy against others, but envy towards Krishna is also very, very, prominent. It was prominent at least, but slowly it is going away, Prabhu. Thank you so much for a wonderful class again. Hare Krishna.
It's a profound realization, and Prabhupada says this. Actually, we don't sometimes acknowledge that I envy the Lord, but we do. That's why we are continuing to stay here. So, but I'll tell you, the moment you start to glorify genuinely, the moment you start to associate. Today afternoon, I was giving a class in another forum. Same set of points, same set of topics, same context. Very different, slokas. So we were discussing that how in one of the questions that somebody asked. So it is important for us to recognize where I stand.
Mm-hmm.
It is important. It's on a regular basis. On a regular basis, I need to know where I am standing in my devotional life. So I need to keep on asking questions. We need to have the courage to ask questions to ourselves. Number two, somehow we should make sure we identify our few self-realized senior devotees who are better. They may not be Narada Munis or Rupa Goswamis of the world, but they are somewhere better, and they can guide you in a progressive Krishna conscious path. Identify them, and somehow or other make sure that we, with their help, keep moving forward in our Krishna conscious journey with an accountable, responsible manner. And if you don't do this, we have all the time a reason to say, oh, I'm a fallen soul, I am not, how will I be able to make it? All these wonderful glories are all very nice, but I cannot, cope up with them. I have my material commitments, my material life. We will always tell, how bad our situation is. As I mentioned in one of the earlier classes 2 weeks before, don't tell Krishna your problems. Don't tell your problems to have Krishna. It is easily said and done. I mean, if you go and tell your problem, hey, you know what? I have Krishna. So what do you think these problems will do? I'm sure they will run away. And more so, the reason these problems come our way or the challenges come our way is after surrendering Krishna, after take Krishna's name, if these challenges come our way, maybe it is to eliminate, to purify, to remove some of the portions. That is what the purport 10:32-22, and Prabhupada says, when the Lord's absence were there, when the challenges came upon these gopis, how did they, respond to the situation? That tells their character. So I guess throughout our remaining part of the journey, we need to learn that. This Sunday, when I was taking the course in the temple, so we made a very interesting point. Say that after the class, let us all go to Radha Madan Mohanji. Our deities are Radha Madan Mohanji. Let's have an eye-to-eye contact with them. Can we have an eye-to-eye contact with someone? We can only have when we are guilt-free. But somehow, if we can have an eye-to-eye contact and tell Krishna. So we were discussing this point. Like suppose, for example, Radha Madan Mohanji say, "Okay, hello, I see you. Ask me what you want, or I give you minus 20 years in your life." Let us all, imagine the scene that Krishna is appearing right in front of you and said, "Hey, my dear Rāmagiridhāri, I will give you minus 20 years in your life. You tell me what will you improve upon. You have currently whatever understanding you have, it will be preserved. Whatever maturity you have will be preserved. Whatever immaturity desire will be still there. Minus 20 years. Can you rewrite some of your past? If yes, start rewriting it now. Otherwise, 20 years later, we will go and tell, oh, 20 years before I knew Krishna consciousness, but I did not, practice well. Let us not give a reason that after, 20 years, we will say that, oh, I attended this Bhakti Sanga class, but I still did not change. So that is the kind of zone that we should get into. So we are hearing, but this hearing should translate into transformation. That is in our hands. Anyway, thanks for your realization, Mataji.
Yes, very beautiful, Prabhu. Very beautiful. About the problems also, you made a very good point. It doesn't come naturally. I think the faith, right? The Shraddha is what? The level of Shraddha is the one which will ward away the problems. The courage we have to go and tell the problems that we have Krishna is dependent on our Shraddha, I feel. Sometimes we don't have that. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Jai, Hare Krishna. Prahladananda Prabhu, yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, thank you very much. Excellent class. In the same thought pattern as the mother was saying,
Prabhuji, I'm not able to hear. Can you be a bit louder, please?
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Prabhuji, yes.
Okay, so in the same thought pattern, as she was saying, Bhagavatam says, Sranvatam Shraddhaya Nityam Gurunata Swachestitam, and then says, Na ati dirgha kalena Bhagwan Visate Radhi. When he enters there, what does he do? He says that, Pravista Karna Randrena Swanam Bhav Sarurunam Dunoti Samalam Krishna Salilasya Yathasarat. So just like, we put our effort, Lord Krishna responds and enters the heart, and Dunoti Samalam, our enviousness he removes. On our own, it's very difficult to remove, but he does, he helps us in Bhakti Yoga like that. So this was my little reflection. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Super, first class.
Hare Krishna, is there any more questions or realizations? We have chat messages also. In chat messages, yeah, everybody's saying class is beautiful, Prabhuji. I think there are no more questions. You can sing bhajan for us, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. It's a song called Vrindavana Vasi Jata Vaishnavera Gana. This song, I think once before I've sung this song. So, it's a song by Devaki Nandan Das Thakur, who once used to be Gopala Chapal. I will read the meaning first, so that we are able to relish the song when we sing the song. I've pasted the URL of the song here. First of all, I offer glorifications to the feet of all the Vaishnavas of Vrindavana. Praising of all of Mahaprabhu's Nilachala associates, I prostrate at their feet. I pray for loving attachment to the lotus feet of all of Mahaprabhu's Navadvipa Bhaktas. I offer pranamas at the feet of all of Mahaprabhu's Gaudadesha Bengal devotees. With upraised arms, I pray to the feet of all of Gauranga's Bhaktas in whichever country they may reside. Holding a straw between my teeth, I submit at the feet of all the servants of Mahaprabhu that were or will be. I have heard their glorification in the Vedas and Puranas, which proclaim that each one of his devotees has the Shakti to deliver the entire universe. Hearing of their glory, I have come with great eagerness to surrender to Mahaprabhu's Bhaktas, who are all Patita Pavana for sinners like me. What power do I have to glorify them? But out of my ignorance and unmitigating pride, I do so anyway, thinking myself so qualified. Even though I am dumb, I am unable to express their greatness. Still, my heart is joyful due to my great good fortune that the Vaishnavas have accepted me as their own, and Srila Gurudeva has given me Harinama full of blissful pastimes. Forgive the faults of this fallen soul and make me your servant. They award the perfection of all desires, including freedom from death and even the rarest treasure not found in this world, prema. All of one's pure, heartfelt desires will be fulfilled without delay. Devaki Nandana Das, intensely eager for this, glorifies and prays to the Vaishnavas. Vrindavana Vasi Jata Vaishnave Ragan Pratame Vandana Kari Sabara Charan Neelachala Vasi Jata Mahaprabhu Gan Bhumite Podiya Valdon Sabara Charan Navadvipa Vasi Jata Mahaprabhu Bhakta Savara Charana Valdon Hayanurakta Mahaprabhu Bhakta Jata Gauda Deshe Sthiti Sabara Charana Valdon Kariya Pranati Je deshe bhoy se Gaurange Ragan Urdhva Bahu Kari Vandon Sabara Charan Hoya Chene Hoy Bene Prabhu Jatadas Sabara Charana Valdon Dante Kari Ghas Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Tare Jane Jane He Veda Purane Gunagaye Jeva Sune Mahaprabhu Gana Sabha Patita Pavan Tai Lobhe Muhi Papi Loinu Sharan Vandana Karite Muhi Kata Shakti Dhari Tamo Buddhi Doshe Muhi Dhamba Matra Kari Tatapi Mukera Bhagya Manera Ullas Dosakshami Movadami Karani Jadas Sarva Vancha Siddhihaya Yama Banda Chute Jagate Durlabha Haya Premadana Lute Manera Vasana Purna Achirate Hai Devaki Nandana Das Yailo Bekai Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for always fulfilling our desires for bhajan at the end. Very grateful to you. I know you speak 1 hour and again bhajan. It's too hard, but still you do it for us. Very grateful to you, Prabhuji. If there are any last minute realizations, yes, Mataji, Preeti Mataji, please.
Just wanted to thank Prabhuji for the beautiful class, for answering questions and also singing so beautifully. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. We can end the call here. I would like to offer my obeisances to Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas summoned on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace Ramgiridhāri Prabhuji ki jai. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.